Hey guys, Theron Asbury here with Revital Outdoors, bringing you another exciting podcast tonight. We are going to the Music City division for the BFL tournaments. We're going to be interviewing Mr. Joey Mallicoat. Joey got a top 20 finish last year in the BFL tournament there on Dale Hollow Lake. So very excited to have another tournament angler with the BFL series talking to us this evening. We'll get to him in just a minute. Before we get started, as always, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. That way you get notified when all of our content is dropping. Check us out, Revital Outdoors, on Facebook and Instagram. That's our social media platforms. And then if you've never heard of Revital Outdoors, we're a premium CBD company for outdoor enthusiasts. So we have a premium broad spectrum CBD product that's THC-free, made right here in America. Great product for all the outdoor enthusiasts. That's both hunting and fishing. So yeah, check out our website. We have products for sale there on our website. And then if you're interested in pro staff opportunities, click on our pro staff tab, fill out the form, and we'll be happy to look at getting you on our staff and representing Revital Outdoors. That being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Very excited for this podcast this evening. Mr. Joey Mallicoat, how you doing this evening, Boat?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, buddy?
I'm doing great, Well, appreciate you coming on the podcast. Yeah, top 20 finish last year, Music City, Dale Hollow. I looked up your record. You've got a pretty good record on Dale Hollow. So tell us a little bit more about it. It's a lake I've never been to, so very excited to talk about what you know about Dale Hollow.
Well, to be honest, it's not one of my strong suits. I'm more of a ledge fisherman. I like Tennessee River and stuff like that. And Dale Hollow just doesn't line up for me typically. Last year I stumbled on a little deal and ran it throughout the day. And honestly, it's still holding up today. I just fished a BFL out there last weekend. I didn't do very good, but it's something that is kind of automatic. I don't know really how to explain it, but I can almost call my shot on every bank that I see like that. But it didn't work out as well this year. But last year I ran it all day long, and it was something that produced for me all day.
Fantastic. So, well, tell us a little bit about the tournament. Were you able to just go off kind of history, or were you able to put something together in practice? And then what did you find successful pattern-wise for the tournament?
Honestly, I've never had a good practice at Dale Hollow. I always just kind of stink it up, and I go out there with not much of a game plan, and I just kind of fish the conditions. And I'm a big jerkbait and A-rig guy. I love throwing an A-rig. It's something I got a lot of confidence in. And, Dale Hollow's got clean water typically. Which lines up good for an A-rig and jerkbait. So that's typically what I try to stick with when I go out there. I know a lot of guys go up in the river and fish the muddier water and flip and throw a spinnerbait, but that's not how I like to fish. So when I go out there, that's just not what I'm going to do. I'm going to stick to my guns and throw an A-rig and a jerkbait.
Okay. Well, you're definitely talking my style with the jerkbait. I've thrown an A-rig a lot, still don't like it. It's a hard bait to throw. No, it's a great bait, honestly. I think my deal is with the A-rig, you can either love it or hate it. So you either have a love relationship or a hate relationship, and then if you're not throwing it, you're going to get beat. If they're throwing it, you're probably going to get beat even more. So,
I've had a lot of my money taken on an A-rig, and for a long time I couldn't catch a bass on it, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. And one winter, I really dedicated a lot of time to try to figure out how to throw it and how to catch some bass on it. And since then, I've won quite a bit of money on it, and it's been a good bait for me. It's hard for me to put it down. It's one of those deals, like if I get a bite on it early in the day, I'm going to throw it all day, because I know if I get it around a fish that's wanting to eat, it's going to eat A-rig before just about anything else.
You have to throw it this time of year. I mean, anybody that's watching this podcast fixing to go to Dale Hollow or Lake Hamilton or Lake Ouachita in Arkansas, Table Rock Lake, Lake of the Ozarks, any of the Tennessee lakes, Chickamauga, Chickamauga's caught a few fish on A-rig there. You have to throw it. I mean, you can't get away from it. I am kind of curious. Do you change it up at all throwing your A-rig, or do you just pretty much standard stuff what everybody else is throwing?
I throw the same A-rig pretty much all the time. I threw a umbrella rig for a long time, and I've kind of swapped more to the Shane's baits. They make a great A-rig, and they have replaceable arms too. So if you break an arm, you can buy the replacements. You don't have to buy the whole A-rig. It's a little bit lighter, and I throw the same swim baits pretty much all the time. There's two colors that I swap between, and depending on the cloud cover, if there's sun or if there's a little stain in the water. But I don't really get too crazy with it. I found something that worked for me a couple of years ago, and really I've stuck with it.
I got you. I got you. Well, tell me a little bit more about your jerkbait. I can talk all day about a jerkbait. That's fun to me. Even down here in Florida, we throw a lot of jerkbait, especially right now. The fishing's just getting right down here on Harris Chain and Lake Toho. So tell me about your jerkbait setup a little bit.
I throw it on. It's a 610, kind of like a medium power rod. I throw it on a Shimano DC. I believe it's a Corrado. And I'm a mega bass man. I got bit by the mega bass bug a few years ago, and I bet I have 100 of those jokers in my boxes. And it makes me sick to look at it and think about how much I've spent on those jerk baits. And to be honest, I throw the same three all the time. Those are the three colors that I've got confidence in. I pretty much stick with it. I'm kind of a bait collector. I mean, you go out in my shop and I've got swim baits and all kinds of stuff hanging on my pegboard, and I kind of got that way with jerk baits there for a little bit. And mostly mega bass. I'll swap it up with a Lucky Craft pointer every now and then, 128 pointer, something like that. But between those two, I mean, you really can't beat them as far as jerk bait goes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just out of curiosity, do you swap the stock hooks on them or keep what comes in the package?
On a mega bass, they have the stickiest hooks I think I've ever seen.
Thank you.
I don't think there's any reason whatsoever to swap out a mega bass hook. I actually buy replacement mega bass hooks to put on my mega bass jerk baits. Now, other stuff, Lucky Crafts and stuff like that, I'll swap the hooks out. But I wish every bait manufacturer used the hooks mega bass uses, because they are the stickiest hooks around.
Yeah, you just gave away a huge secret. For all the anglers out there that throw jerk baits, you can find the replacement number 6 and number 4. Yep. Mega bass. They're like Akatwa, Tonkawa, Tiwa. Yep. I don't know how to pronounce what they are, but they do sell them. So
yep, and they are great too.
For sure. So all right, cool, man. So well, tell us a little bit about your tournament day. How many keepers did you catch throughout the day? Was it a morning bite, late bite, and maybe what were you relating to the most?
Last year, I believe I caught 9 or 10 keepers throughout the day, and I didn't get a bite until about 10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it was more of a late afternoon deal, and I didn't stumble upon my little pattern until probably 10:30 or 11, and I looked at the map and found something similar to it, and I was able to duplicate it in a couple areas. Now, this year in this past BFL, I only had 3 keepers. I didn't do very good. Caught a lot of fish, a lot of short fish, a lot of good smallmouth too. That's the one frustrating thing about Dale Hollow is it is chock full of 18-inch plus smallmouth, and that slot limit really changes the way the lake fishes. I mean, it's hard to find largemouth for me out there. But I focused on shallower type pea gravel banks. This year I think it was a little bit too early for that type of stuff for me in the areas that I was fishing. I feel like the majority of the largemouth hadn't made it back into the creeks as far as where I was fishing. The water temperature was starting to get up into about 53, 54 degree air, temperature, which is good. It should start pushing some fish back into the creeks, but I just think it came up so quick. I don't think they had time to really adjust and get to where I needed them to be. And, we got another big cold front coming, and I'm sure that'll slow things down again. So.
Okay. I got you. So that being said, what do you predict weight-wise this year?
Well, I would say for the mountain division, I think it's on the 19th this year. I'm sure it'll take, well over 20 pounds. Brent Anderson had 24 in ours last weekend and had a 9-pound, 10-ounce largemouth, which is probably the biggest largemouth I've ever seen come out of the lake. But I would say, if we get warm weather next week, with the water temperature starting to come up last week, I really think there'll be multiple bags over 20 pounds. We got the Toyota Series coming up there at the end of the month. I'll be fishing that. So hopefully between now and then we get some stable weather, not a lot of rain, and we get some warm weather. And I think it'll be absolutely lights out up there.
Okay. I got you. So changing up a little bit, outside of the A-rig and the jerkbait, what are some other key tactics you like to throw on Dale Hollow? I know I've heard of it being a big swim bait lake. Obviously with the A-rig, that works, but is there guys you throwing the glide bait or the single swim baits or, anything different offset of what you're throwing?
I've heard some people throwing like a small swim bait, like a little 3-inch or 2.8 Kitech. As far as a big swim bait goes, I don't hear about that many people doing that. But again, I don't spend that much time on Dale Hollow, so I don't really know the ins and the outs. But it wouldn't surprise me if some people are catching some fish on glide baits. It seems to be a more popular technique, nowadays. And I know some guys that throw it on another lake here locally that's similar to Del Hall, and they have some success there. So it wouldn't surprise me if somebody's out there catching them on a big glide bait or a bigger swim bait.
Okay. Last question before we let you go. What do you predict would be very, very successful for a co-angler fishing this year?
Well, it's hard to say. Typically for a co-angler, it's I would think throw something different than the boater is. Maybe a little finessier. A buddy of mine, he just did really well in the Music City as a co-angler at Del Hall. He was flipping a small crawl behind his boater, and I think he had about 13 pounds. Got a good check. Just changing it up, not throwing the same thing as the boater. A Ned rig works quite a bit up there from what I hear. That's not my cup of tea. I don't even have one in my boat 90% of the time, but I hear of people catching some fish on a Ned rig. So maybe something like that, a little finessey.
Okay. I got you. So, well, Joey, before we let you go, I know you got a lot of people that support you, a lot of friends, family, and people that you work in the fishing industry. So anybody that supports your fishing career and what you're doing, we just want to give you the chance to thank them.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you for having me on tonight. This is the first podcast I've done. It's pretty cool. But definitely my girlfriend, it takes a special woman to put up with the fishermen. And this year, I wasn't going to fish the BFLs. I was just going to focus on the Toyota Series. It's my first year doing that. And she told me, she said, honey, you won the points last year. You can't just not fish the BFLs this year. You really need to, try to win it again. And she
Amen to her.
Yeah, right. She encourages me to fish as much as possible. And it's really special to have somebody like that supports me. My mom, she's a huge, huge support. My dad, and also, they're always cheering me on and keeping up on my weigh-ins and stuff like that. So, and obviously my work, they let me take off whenever I need to go fish and practice. And that's a huge deal. So.
Absolutely. So, well, Joey, thank you for coming on this evening with Revital Outdoors. We wish you the best of luck this year in your 2022 fishing season. Hope to have you back on again, because that usually means you're having a lot of success. So good luck to you. And, man, just have a great year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
From all of us at Revital Outdoors, I'm Theron Asbury. Again, you've been talking to Mr. Joey Mallicoat. He was a top 20 angler last year at Dale Hollow Lake in the BFL tournament. So thank you for Joey for being on with us. Before we let you go, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, check us out on our social media platforms. That's going to be Revital Outdoors, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you again for tuning into this podcast. Be safe out there. God bless. And we'll talk to everyone very, very soon.